I have been meaning to finish the review of the Masquerade Phantom of the Opera experience in New York. This will be part 2, the final part, going through the last half of the show. So I left off in my previous video where we had left Madame Giry and a puppet theater with little dolls representing the characters, and Madame Giry hung them on little strings kind of from the top of this old-timey puppet theater while she sang the note about Christine playing the largest role, the Countess, and the role which Miss Daae plays calls for charm and appeal. Okay, so that happens. I shall watch the performance from my normal seat in box 5, which will be kept empty for me. Should these commands be ignored, a disaster beyond your imagination will occur. That part may not be in the note because there's not... It doesn't matter. Madame Giry leads us out with a lantern. We turn around, and those drapes that I talked about have been opened up, and we're at the stage where Christine eventually rips the mask off the Phantom for the first time. And what happens there, at the end, usually you have, "Come, we must return. Those two fools who run my theater will be missing you." Doesn't happen at all. As soon as Christine gives the mask back to the Phantom, on stage runs this dirty young man in overalls, and I remember going, "Oh, is that an actor, or what are they doing?" They've got a thing over their head, and they do sort of a pitiful, they don't say anything, don't sing anything. The Phantom says to Christine, "Christine, if you only knew what they did to me." And they follow this character out, and we follow them, and we go through an amazing hallway, angular hallway, with all these creations, things turning and clicking, and there's a wooden mannequin half dummy that is slamming its head against a mirror. It's on a... Nobody's turning it. It's turning itself. It's on a belt, and it's just going dish, dish, dish. There's hands. It's like the Phantom's, laboratory where he's created a lot of cool things. Very interesting. I wish I could spend 4 hours in there. We go into another hallway that is got mirrors and circus-type faces on it, and that is when we go into, like, the circus where the Phantom, where the kid was. So that kid that we saw run in onto the stage and say nothing and lead the Phantom and Christine away, he's in a cage, and we're at this traveling fair, and there's some weird characters with dirty teeth. There's a lady that's got a pointed thing on her hat, and she's handing out rings for you to toss rings onto the pole on her head. There's a man in a Hannibal Lecter in a muzzle. There's a guy messing around with a rope on a guy's neck. It's like doing tricks and things. A very small room, and we're crammed in there, and they're randomly doing these tricks around us. And over in one corner, in the cage, which has got a blanket over it, I think it says "Feed the Freak," and you can feed him pieces of bread. And so each individual little area happens at the same time. So depending on where you're standing, you will interact with one of them. And then eventually the carnival barker man gets up on the stage, and there's a little wooden stage set up, and they bring up a fire breather. At least that's what I had both times I saw it. A guy, they take the muzzle off of him, and he's like the breath of Satan, and he has these wands that have fire on them, and he touches him to his tongue and rubs it on his arm and stuff. Weird circusy stuff. And then they do a thing with a rope with the guy that one of us that's been standing around gets picked, and they pretend to hang him, and it's a trick rope, and ha ha ha. And then they say it's the main event, and they pull over the cage, and they rattle the cage, and they're talking about this character abandoned by its mother, dirty, and they take the blanket off, and you can see him in there, and he's got this canvas sort of thing over his head with just holes for where he can see out of, and they are mocking him, and they pull him out of there almost like a monkey on a rope, and he jumps down on the stage, and there's that's the first time I noticed that there's an organ over in the corner, and they make him go sit there and play, and he plays like Phantom of the Opera. Bum, 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 bum. I'm pretty sure. Bum, 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 bum. Doesn't play very long, because then they want you to see his face, and so they go to rip off his hat. Forgot to mention, one of the most moving things is he comes out of that cage with a monkey, very rudimentary carved wooden monkey on a little platform, but you can see where it would turn if you were turning it, and it's like he doesn't want to be without this thing. He's created this thing. So that was very interesting, and makes it mean a lot more as you go through the show if you know about the monkey playing the cymbals and all that. Again, this is just a wooden... Anyway, the barker takes it and puts it up on a pedestal. He rips it from the kid's hands. The actor is probably 20 years old, but is playing this young Eric the Phantom. They rip off the mask, and he, you don't see anything, because I actually think this actor does not even have any deformed makeup on or anything. You don't ever see it. He's just dirty all over, got smudges and stuff. And they make him play the music, they rip off the thing, and then Madame Giry comes in and sort of fights with these guys. The Phantom kid grabs a lantern light and shines it in the carnival barker's eyes, and so he can't see, and swings something around, and Madame Giry grabs the rope that they've tied and pulls him out of there, but he grabs the monkey off of the shelf up there, and they run out, and so you run out after them, and so now you've realized, okay, you've seen Madame Giry rescue him, because that's the whole thing. She's the one who knew him from the traveling circus, but you never see that you see a little bit of it in the movie, if I am correct, but I don't reference the movie. So then you go and you leave, and you follow them from that sort of tragic room, and now you're in another room in the opera house, but it looks like a storage room. There's a piano that has kind of a blanket over it. There's a lot of shelves with just chairs and things stored in it. It's like you're in an off-side room, and we go in there and wait, and he is up on a platform, still got his canvas mask over his face because he's put that back on, and he's hiding sort of away, and Madame Giry comes in, and she has a bowl and a pitcher and a rag, and she pats a seat sort of next to the piano, and he slowly comes over and sits down on the piano and comes down. And this was the most surprising part of the entire experience in terms of the story. She starts to sing "Learn to Be Lonely," which is, you have to really know this whole thing to know what that is. Song from the credits of the movie that's never sung in the show. The theme is not in the show. Learn to be lonely. It's beautifully done. It's simple and quiet. Madame Giry takes the rag and pours water into this bowl and sort of washes his hands because he's so dirty. Washes his hands as she sings this to him. Learn to be lonely. And after she does that, she's still singing. She goes over and she grabs she tries to grab the canvas thing from him, and he won't let her take it. So she goes over, and there are some theatrical masks hanging over here, and you've seen them when you came in. And she grabs two of them. There's a big gold one that is like all this, would just leave the mouth open, and there's another one that's white and is sort of just here. And she grabs both of them and holds them up, and he points to the white one. So she hangs the other one over, brings him over the white one, and he takes off the canvas. You don't see. He turns and puts on the white one. But again, it's full over the face. Interesting. And she points to the mirror and says for him to go and look. And he goes over and he looks, and this is again, this whole scene does not take place in the show at all. So this is all new. So I'm really trying to absorb it. He goes over to the mirror, looks in the mirror, and all of a sudden slams his head against the mirror. I don't know why. If it was a forced thing. He cracks the mirror. It's a regular mirror, and what happens is he slams it. The second night I saw it from a different angle. The regular piece of the mirror slides down very quickly, and then you see a shattered piece. But the mirror is shattered then. But half the mask breaks off. The part of the good face part drops off, so he has just the regular mask that you are more familiar with covering the half. So that was interesting and cool, scary because you don't know what happened. And then I think Giry has left by that point because he hugs her. It's very sweet. He hugs her awkwardly, but she pushes him away and sings again, "Learn to be lonely," which is harsh, and I don't know. I'd have to study that more. But she's basically telling him, I can't be here with you. You got to do this on your own. You got to learn to be lonely. So that's interesting. So she leaves, and my belief is that she's gone by the time he walks over to the mirror and slams it, and the thing falls off, and it's half the mask. But then in walks the regular Phantom, the older Phantom. He's bigger and older, and he's got his cape on and everything, and he hugs the kid. And I mean, it's a little saccharine and overly sweet, but it isn't real. It's the Phantom imagining it happening. He is reliving this moment as we are watching it. It is in the past, and we are seeing what was in the past, because Giry says, I think when she comes into that room, at some point she says, and that's how he came to me. That's how he came to be at the Opera House. That was right at the beginning of that scene, and shows that whole thing. Okay, so then the Phantom is there hugging his younger self. Lightning flash, lights go out. Kid is gone. Lights up. It's the Phantom, and a call over the intercom says, Christine Daae, places, because we're back in present day time, and the Phantom jumps or goes behind the piano to hide because Christine rushes in. What scene would she have just left? It's when basically they would have left his lair. Come, we must return those two fools who run my theater. We'll be missing you. We're back. She's rushing in. He hides. He goes. You see him watching behind that shattered mirror. You see him watching into that room. Because Christine is in there. And she doesn't want to do this, remember? Because she doesn't want to be any part of this plot. Then we leave from there because Christine has to go. Get ready. And we are taken to a small dressing room. We're again split. Before we go to a dressing room, we go to what is one of the most bizarre but beautiful moments, also completely new to this show, completely new to the story in the show. Jiri is talking about how he was an inventor and passionate about things. We go to a small room where there is like a not a metronome exactly, but a ticking, and there is it's the kid that plays the young Phantom. He's in a tuxedo and he's got a mask on, and he's a robot, or not a robot, but an automaton, some sort of creation of the Phantom, that's my guess. And he's doing a ballet dance. It is simple and beautiful, and there is a bride automaton creation as well. The first night I saw it, it was just an actress also playing this. Do you remember, if you know this show, you'll remember that wooden Christine-like figure that comes from behind the glass and does the bounce that scares Christine and she falls down. That's what I think this is. Anyway, they're doing this dance. The second night I saw it, that same actress that's playing the bride had that scary clear mask on that has the weird makeup on it that makes you look, well, it makes it look sort of fake, like a fake creation. Was wearing that the second night, so that was interesting. But anyway, they do this whole beautiful, weird, spinning dance with each other, and he takes off a ring and does this robotic thing and puts it on her finger, and then they spin around and go back into this box and look into the mirror. It's weird, but absolutely beautiful. We walk by them, we're inches from them as we leave this room, and each time I saw it, I wanted to say to these two who are frozen there looking in the mirror, like, that was absolutely beautiful. It was not a ballet because they were robotic, but it was a ballet. It was beautiful. It was, if it wasn't real, it was in the Phantom's head of this wedding dance that he would want to do with her. It was beautiful. From there, we are going into this small dressing room. We're split up again. We go into a small dressing room. There are clothes hanging on a wall. There are little dress stations with lights and makeup and things and notes and accoutrement of preparing to go on to the stage. We walk into the room, and there's a piano in there, and Andre and Firmin are in there, the opera owners, and they are talking. And after we get in there, Raoul pretty quickly comes in there, and he's basically, there's no prima donna, unfortunately, in this show. There's no prima donna song, which is the entire thing about Christine Daae. She doesn't have the voice. Well, but then you have to do it because we love you. Please do it. This whole scene then takes place in a pretty quick conversational way, where we hear Andre and Firmin talking with Raoul about the plan that Christine will do this, because their plan will be to snare the Phantom, because of course he's going to watch it if she's going to sing, and like, are you sure this will work? And they're like, yes, of course it will. And then I think they all leave except Raoul, and he's talking to us, literally talking to us about, yeah, Christine will do this, and it'll all be great. She comes in, and she's not ready, and so he takes a dress off of this, off the rack, and it is the point of no return dress that you'd know, sort of Spanish. Anyway, he hands it to her and says, you've got to do this, you've got to get ready. And she sings the, do I betray the man who once inspired my voice? Do I have any choice? He kills without a thought, he murders all that's good. I know I can't refuse, and yet, oh God, if I agree, what horrors wait for me in this, the Phantom's opera. So, beautiful, touching scene. I think that may be when she gets the call. Anyway, she goes off. They leave. Oh, because Piangi and Carlotta come in, and Carlotta's like, oh, if it isn't you, Miss Daae, who got the leading role. Christine Daae, she doesn't have the voice. She does say that. Carlotta does say that. But Christine and Raul have left, and now Carlotta and Piangi are in here, and they're like, this is ridiculous. Piangi sits down at the piano in this room and opens up this book of music and starts to play those who would tangle with Don Juan, if you please. He's trying to play it, and he's not playing it right. And it's so perfect. Just humanizes him, and it's funny because we who know the show so well appreciate that. Carlotta does sing a little bit of Prima Donna, but I can't remember what part she sings. But she's singing like a cappella. I didn't hear any music, so she's singing a little bit of it. And throughout the show, I now notice she has this little spray bottle. I thought it was perfume. It's the bottle with the little hose and the little squeeze thing, but she's squeezing it into her mouth. It's like a throat spray, and she has it in this scene. This is critical. She has it in this scene. She brings it in, and she's squeezing it in her mouth and preparing to go on, because she's going to go on, because Christine's going to... she's going to go on and do this, because Christine can't do it. And Christine doesn't want to do it. So this is a toad, madam. Perhaps it is you who are the toad. But there's no such scene. So here we are. She's spraying herself. She hands it to whatever one of us is sitting in this particular spot next to the clothes that are on the rack. And at a certain point, while we're in this scene, in this very small room, the Phantom pokes his head through the clothes hanging on the rack and grabs that spray bottle out of of one of us that is sitting in the spot where she is obviously, Carlotta knows, the actress knows to give this to that person. The Phantom takes it from that person and hands them a different one. So when Carlotta is warming up and doing stuff in this scene, she goes and grabs it, sprays it, and she must do the I'm blanking on the music that she would have sung but she starts to do that and Piangi freaks out, and they both start panicking. She rushes out, and so Piangi's in there by himself, and he's talking about something. He's probably bragging and saying stuff, and the Phantom walks in through the clothes again, grabs him, drags him right out. And then the managers come back in. I could be messing up the order, but Piangi's gone, been dragged through the clothes quickly. And you don't even see that there's a gap in the wall. Obviously there is, but you don't see it. It's incredible. The first time he pokes out of there, you're like, oh my goodness. Okay, so the managers do come in there, and they're talking about, it must be in reaction to Carlotta rushing out of there and debating what to do, and Christine probably is going to be, it must be going on. I'm sure that's it. And then Piangi drops through the thing again, flat on the floor, and they think he's been drinking again and overacting and being silly. And this is that sort of thing, an accident, it's merely an accident, except they're not that panicked. They're trying to hide it just to those of us, and they're like, why don't you go and we'll get him, he's fine, it's totally fine, nothing's wrong. So then we leave, and we do hear the opera happening. Now things are getting, now it's getting serious. We go back, and we are back in the room that we were in for the overture with the chandelier rising and Think of Me and us first meeting the Phantom in the stage. We're back in that spot, and they're doing Point of No Return. Phantom is there, has his hood up. and he's wearing a fancy, cool mask, and wearing a robe. He's not covered like he is in the show, where you don't see his face or his hands or anything. And we come in and we're all around, and they're singing Point of No Return. And they've obviously spliced it down quite a lot. But did I miss All I Ask of You? Did I? Yes. Forgive me. So, obviously, no, I apologize. No, I did miss it. Let me back up. I should have done this the night after I saw it, but now I'm in Washington, D.C. I was in New York, and so my brain is all mush. The panic of Christine not wanting to do this show and Piangi dying, to the roof, we'll be safe there. That whole thing. We go, oh my goodness, do we do Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again first? I did try to rehearse this before I made the video so I could do it correctly, because I want to be informing you as adequately and spoiler full as I can. Good grief. Here's what I know. There is a roof of this building in New York, and we were supposed to go on the roof for the entire All I Ask of You scene, which is after Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. So thank you for helping me with that, brain. But because of rains that happened in New York, it did something to the equipment or the lights or the stage or something there, so we could not. So both, I saw it the very first night and the second night, and both nights it was the same in terms of what we did. So I believe that they have now changed it because they've been able to fix and update it to something much cooler, I know, that I can't directly speak to. But so let's pause a minute before Point of No Return and probably Piangi dying, because as soon as Piangi dies, we're at Point of No Return, I'm fairly certain. So we go to Don't Make Me Do This, I'm Frightened, Don't Put Me Through This Ordeal by Fire, He'll Take Me, we'll be parted forever, He Won't Let Me Go. What I Used to Dream, I Now Dread, If He Finds Me, It Won't Ever End, and He'll Always Be There Singing Songs in My Head. We have gone up to another room that, again, I don't know if they even use at all, and there are angled glass windows, and Christine and Raul are outside of this. It's very hard to describe this room, because I think it's just a makeshift room, standing in for, That's All I Ask of You. I'm not going to remake this video because it's already 28 minutes long. Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, we have gone to this. We are outside. We are covered, but we are outside at one level of outside. The next level is where All I Ask of You would happen, and probably is happening, as well as the Phantom coming to be angry after All I Ask of You. You curse you, you did not do all that the Phantom asked of you, da-da-da-da-da. So Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again happens. We are at a grave. We are outside, sort of. And it's beautiful. And my Christine Aaron was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, you're right there, and she's pouring her heart out. She asks Raul to leave her for a minute so that she can have time with her father. He talks about taking violin lessons from her dad, which that's new to me. And she said, do you remember when my father taught you how to play the violin? He said, tried to teach me the violin. I'm afraid I was never a good student, whatever. So she's going to take some time to say goodbye to him. So she does Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, which is gorgeous and beautiful. And then the Phantom comes, and if you are down on the level where Christine is singing, the Phantom is up on this bridge that you have just walked across to come down here. And there are people up there. Some of us who didn't make it down are standing up on the bridge. Anyway, the Phantom is up on the bridge for my favorite part of the show, which was always, wandering child, so lost, so helpless. That whole scene. And Raul comes in, and they do the original trio of, that of them singing and let her go. You have no claim on her. Leave her. Can't you see she'll never be yours? And then Christine runs out. Raoul's staying down there, and this time, my clever friend, the disaster will be yours happens here. And Christine goes up to the bridge, and we see downstairs, because we can't see what's happening up there exactly, but they have lights shining to the back of them, and it projects on the wall where she has just sung Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. We see, I saw it clearly, the Phantom and Christine, and he says, your chains are still mine, you will sing for me, and he grabs the chain with the ring around her, because when they've just come to Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, at that beginning of the scene, they say some of the lines like, it's a secret engagement, but why is it secret? What have we to hide? And please, let's not argue. They just speak those lines to each other. So you're caught up with that whole thing because they haven't done the beginning of Masquerade. We already did Masquerade a long time ago, and that part of the story they've cut out and just given these little glimpses. So Phantom grabs the ring and off they go. Oh man, if he grabs her and takes her, then they go to All I Ask of You, or did we do All I Ask of You and then Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again? If they did All I Ask of You and then Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, I think that's what they did do. All I Ask of You was in this weird room where normally it would have happened on the roof. So what we did, let's say we went from All I Ask of You to Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. Then they let us out. All I Ask of You is beautiful and fine, and the Phantom is there, and he's upset because he hears them singing to each other and doesn't like it. All I Ask of You typically takes place on the roof of the Opera House in the show, as many of you will already know. And so the Phantom appears behind like an angel, one of the big statues that's on the top of the Opera House. I did not see that in this show. We walked up some steps and went actually onto the roof. And there's a big sort of rolling rocky place with a Daae tomb. And the violin player from the beginning of the show is standing there with the violin. And at first I thought it was like a statue, but it is the real guy. He was out there when it was drizzling the first night. Second night he was out there again when it wasn't drizzling, but there was no scene up there. We didn't stop. We just walked and looked at this outdoor scene where music is just playing but nothing is happening. And so then we walk in and go back in, and I think that's when we must have gone into Point of No Return, because we go into the opera then. Because at the end of Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, if the Phantom takes Christine and goes, then they go and they do the show. So I'm sorry if I've mixed those up. I'll have to investigate. But I've talked about Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, All I Ask of You, and Phantom being upset and screaming, grabbing the ring after Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again. I know. And now we're at Point of No Return. We're back in that room with the chandelier. And the chandelier is there, and it's hanging, and the Phantom is singing. They trim it a little bit, and so it's not as long as the scene is. Raoul didn't talk about that they'll have armed guards, or they'll have guards, but they're not going to shoot at him. There's no conversation about when you shoot to kill. There's no shooting. Scene happens. They sing. They do an interesting dance. I'm going to do a sidebar. I always wondered how Christine would not know that the person singing the as Piangi's role, how she would not have known that was the Phantom. You know his voice. Ramin, in the 25th anniversary movie, filmed version, was the first time that I heard the Phantom sort of do an affectation to his voice and do more opera sounding, like Piangi would have sounded like, rolling R's and things like that. That's the first time I ever heard it, because I always wondered, why wouldn't the Phantom put that on? Because you'd know his voice. Now he can throw his voice and all that. Anyway, and so but then seeing the show so many times, there's the part where the Phantom is sitting at that picnic table, and he's obviously got his mask on, but he's got the hood over it, and Christine puts her face up, leans it, she's behind him and grabs him, and puts her face to the mask, and that's when she first realizes that that's the Phantom. And her whole attitude changes, and it's quite interesting. Well, when I saw the show years ago in Chicago, the actor who played Piangi was black, and the Phantom was not black, and so you'd see his hands. And I'm just thinking practically, it doesn't matter, obviously, that Piangi was black and the Phantom is white, or vice versa. In this show, both the Phantom and Piangi were dark skin. I don't know the race of all of them, but in the show that I saw, when the Phantom pretends to be Piangi's character, he puts on gloves, because otherwise it would give it away. You would know that it wasn't Piangi when you see his hand. So that was very interesting. But anyway, in this, they're singing, and I think, I can't remember her finding out that it's the Phantom. I think she just sort of knew, because there's not a moment of definite realization. There is no table, there is no apple, and that sort of passionate, seductive dance that she does, really. But either he brings back the hood or she brings back the hood, and she takes off the fancy mask that he has on, as normal in the show. And so you see his white mask, and Andre and Firmin rush down, Jiri rushes down, and Raul's like, and I think Christine even's like, just, and they do the whole thing. I don't remember him taking off the ring at this moment and giving it to her, because I don't remember her bringing back the ring at the end, which we'll get to. But either way, they sing the part like normal, but instead of when she rips off the mask and you can see the deformity for the first time, the makeup, he doesn't run out and grab her and run out and there's a shot and all that. Instead, he starts like screaming, and he gets so angry that the chandelier starts to shake. He's standing right underneath it, hands out, and he's like, ah! And it's shaking and falls like a couple times. And remember, it doesn't have that far to go. It's maybe 15 feet high at the top, meaning at the bottom, it's not that high. But anyway, falls some more. Christine runs to the Phantom and pushes him out of the way before it falls down. Interesting. So I don't know how the chandelier falls. But he's angry. Didn't see anything. If there's some thing to it, I just, in his anger, he makes it fall. Anyway, so then they rush out, and then that's, of course, the down once more to the dungeon of, but those words are not spoken. We rush from that room back into the room where we did Masquerade, where Masquerade was. It's obviously much different now. It's darker, because obviously we're not going back to that lair, so he's not down once more to the dungeon of my black despair. Down we plunge to the prison of my mind, down that path into darkness deep as hell. None of that. We do get why you ask was I bound and chained. When we go into the Masquerade room, Phantom is over at the doors where we originally entered from at the beginning of the show, when those big doors parted from the one room where we were in and came in for Masquerade. He's there, and he's doing something with ropes. Punjab lassos, I don't know, but but he's doing something like hooking them up on the doors, and then closes the doors and walks in. Why, you ask, was I bound and chained to this cold and dismal place, not for any mortal sin, but the wickedness of my abhorrent face. Hounded out by everyone, met with hatred everywhere, no kind word from anyone, no compassion anywhere. Christine, why? That whole thing is normal. These tears I might have shed for your dark fate grow cold and turn to tears of hate. That's all there. Wait, I think, my dear, we have a guest. Doors open, and Raoul has 4 ropes, one on each arm and one on each leg. So my thought is that by opening the doors, they've trapped him, and he's like trying to pull them. So he's pulling himself into the room while they are all trying to pull him out. The ropes are trying to pull him out. He has come from the same way we originally came into this room for Masquerade. Interesting, because of course in the original he just comes in from under the gate and comes in, and then the magic is, "Oh, monsieur, I bid you welcome. Did you think that I would harm you? Why should I make her pay for the sins which I lost?" And that part doesn't happen. The words still happen, but when so imagine stage right is where Raoul has come in and is trying to pull against these ropes. Opposite stage left would be where the Phantom has walked to by that point to say, "For the sins which are yours," and he starts pulling some ropes on like a pulley system, and Raoul is pulled back tightly and in pain, and they do the whole scene beautifully, the trio singing, and it's right there in front of you because we're all around it, all of it. It's that finale of the show is fantastic anyway. So she says, "God, give me courage to show you you are not alone," kisses him. Raoul is on the floor writhing at this point. She kisses him again, as in the music. It just flows, and you know it. And he obviously softens, tells them to leave. The long take her, forget me. The long drum beat is not there. You do hear voices coming to get him and all that, but it's cut short. He says, "Take her, forget me, forget all of this, take the boat." He does not say, "Swear to me," to talk of the angel in hell. I don't think he says that at all, if I remember correctly. "Go now and leave me," all that. And then he walks over, he takes, there's a cloak right there on the center part of the stage area. He takes it and drags his cloak, and you think, oh, he's going to sit in a chair, put the cloak over him. He takes the cloak and walks back over to that wall where he had the ropes where he pulled, and that's where the monkey is on the stand over there. And so that's where he, masquerade, paper faces on parade, masquerade, hide your face so the world. And Christine does come back in, but she is not carrying a ring. At least I did not see that, and she does not lead it over. But she is all the way where Raoul, because they leave out the same door Raoul had come in. So she comes in and walks all the way back across. And Christine, I love you. She does not leave. This is a huge spoiler. He takes the cloak and wraps the cloak around her, not him. And they hug and spin in a little, they just turn around right there. And they are singing together. No Raoul singing. They are singing together, the part that you know. As they're spinning around, you see her singing, and he's singing, and they're hugging. He puts the hood up over her head and hugs her tightly, and she's gone. What hits me immediately is that didn't happen. That she probably did come back in. Well, and now I'm processing that right now. The reason she comes back in the show is to bring the ring. The best thing about the Ramin and Sierra Boggess 25th anniversary thing is that you can see how painful it is for Christine to then leave him again. She does not want to. If you remember, if you look at it, Raoul is off stage like, come on, come back, come, let's go. like she won't leave. And that, I think, is a Love Never Dies, try to connective tissue there. So it's possible that in this, she doesn't really come back in at all. And so he's hugging nothing, but he's imagining it, because he's imagined several things, happen through this. So that's interesting. But regardless, if she did come back in and bring him a ring or something, she is not there. And so he lets the cloak down and sings "It's Over Now," the music of the night, and comes back to the center, and it's beautiful. As the very end music plays, that you'd normally, the Phantom would have disappeared, and Meg climbs down the portcullis gate and comes in and pulls the sheet off the chair and reveals the mask. That does not happen. The Phantom comes back and stands in the center, and we are invited to come to the center. And the kid, the young Phantom kid, comes back and stands on stage with him and turns to us and says, doesn't say it, but asks us to remove our masks, which I don't really understand, and yet I fully understand. Like, it's okay, reveal yourself, be who you are, whatever. It was so simple and beautiful. People are crying. I was moved. I was not crying, but it was, the Phantom is crying. He's right there, and he's looking all of us in the eye, like, oh, we can, it's okay, So we all took our masks off. It was really incredible. And then Madame Giry comes in, and she takes the mask and has it. And does she say something? I don't think she says anything. Oh, she leads us out. People come on, and we cheer, of course. After the cheering, the little kid Phantom comes out and does the mask thing, and Madame Giry is there, and the Phantom is there, and Madame Giry takes the mask and leads us out of that room, and we go down to the bar and merchandise area. Now, real quick, the ending is fantastic. With the disappearing Christine, that took my breath away. Not just the trick of it. If you know the 2013-ish tour, you know the difference between the Phantom disappearing in the chair. If you don't, you can message me and I'll tell you what happens at the end of the newer tour. When he grabbed that cloak, I thought that he was going to disappear in the cloak like what happened in the 2013. But the second night, he grabbed a different cloak. He grabbed just a regular cloak. I believe the first night he grabbed the cloak, the magic cloak. The second night he grabs a regular cloak and walks it over, and I watch him drop his hand as he's singing behind that table where the monkey is and trades it. I know it. He gets the magic cloak. But why they did change that, I don't know. But the disappearing was the same both nights. So its form, it has, especially over the neck area, it has some sort of firm, lining to take the form, and then he holds it and she just ducks out and goes into the wall. But it's seamless, and it's not even that dark. It was beautifully done, and regardless of whether Christine ever came back to that room or not, the fact of him imagining her come there and hugging him is so powerful to me. I love it so much, especially if you know the Love Never Dies story. So then you go to the bar and you get drinks if you want, or merchandise. I left the first night because I knew I could do merchandise the second night, and I just had to get out. It was powerful. I needed to go breathe air, and I went out, and that's when I got to talk to Andrew Lloyd Webber. So that was worth it. And the second night I bought a hat that says "Sing for Me," because why not? I'm sorry for messing any of that up, but that's all the spoilers I can think of for play-by-play of the show. Bye.